Today, nearly every country in the world operates with debt. From major economies to developing nations, governments carry massive financial obligations. The United States, for example, has reached record high levels of public debt. European countries are also dealing with significant debt burdens. Japan, meanwhile, has maintained one of the highest debt-to-GDP ratios in the world for decades. This naturally raises an interesting question. If everyone is borrowing, then who is lending? At first glance, this seems contradictory. But the modern economic system is built on precisely this paradox. Government debt is not owed to a single person or institution. Instead, it is distributed across banks, investment funds, pension systems, central banks, corporations, and indirectly, even ordinary citizens through their savings and retirement accounts. In other words, much of the world is effectively indebted to itself. The origins of government debt. National debt is far from a modern invention. Throughout history, governments often needed large amounts of capital, especially during wars. When tax revenues were not enough, rulers turned to wealthy merchants and bankers for financing. In the late 17th century, England developed a model during its wars with France that became the foundation of today's government bond system. The state promised future repayment backed by tax revenues, while investors earned interest in return. This innovation transformed finance. Governments were no longer limited to spending only what they currently possessed. They could now spend based on expected future income. Over time, public debt stopped being viewed as a weakness and instead became a sign of financial credibility. How the system works today. In modern economies, governments borrow money by issuing bonds. These bonds are purchased by banks, insurance companies, pension funds, investment firms, and foreign governments. For example, a large share of U.S. Treasury bonds is held by American institutions. Another portion is owned by foreign investors, with countries such as Japan, China, and several European financial centers among the major holders. This means popular claims like, "The U.S. is entirely indebted to China," are misleading. In reality, most of the debt is held within America's own financial ecosystem. Taxes collected from citizens help fund interest payments, which often flow back into pension funds, investment portfolios, and financial institutions. The system functions like a circular mechanism. The global financial network. This structure is not unique to the United States. Japanese investors buy American debt. European institutions lend capital to developing economies. Developing nations, in turn, often hold reserves in the form of bonds issued by larger economies. The result is a vast financial web in which nearly everyone holds someone else's liabilities. This is why the global economy largely runs on confidence. As long as participants trust that governments will continue honoring their obligations, the cycle remains intact. The role of central banks. At the center of this system are central banks. Institutions such as the Federal Reserve and the European Central Bank purchase government bonds from the market, injecting liquidity into the financial system. In practice, this often means creating new money. A central bank buys bonds and credits reserves into the banking system. As a result, the modern monetary system is deeply intertwined with debt. Many financial assets are essentially one party's liability and another party's asset. Do governments actually plan to repay their debt? When it comes to sovereign debt, the primary objective is usually not to eliminate it entirely. Instead, governments often refinance. When old debt matures, they issue new debt to replace it. So rather than disappearing, debt is continuously rolled over. This may sound surprising, but it is how modern public finance largely functions. Government bonds are not merely debts. They are also among the most trusted financial assets in the world. Banks use them as collateral. Pension funds rely on them for long-term investment stability. Central banks use them in reserve management. If major economies suddenly paid off all their debt, markets could face a shortage of safe assets and significant liquidity disruptions. What happens during a crisis? Because the system is built on confidence, its breaking point is trust. The Greek debt crisis of 2010 is a clear example. Once investors began doubting the sustainability of Greece's debt, borrowing costs surged, confidence collapsed, and the country was pushed into harsh austerity measures. Similarly, Argentina has repeatedly struggled with sovereign debt crises. Sri Lanka also experienced severe economic turmoil under external debt pressure and foreign currency shortages. During these crises, the normally invisible actors behind debt become highly visible. Credit rating agencies, bondholders, investment funds, and international financial institutions. Debt and inequality. The statement "we owe it to ourselves" is technically only partially true. Interest payments are not distributed equally across society. Tax revenues used to service debt often flow toward those who already hold financial assets. For this reason, public debt can function not only as a transfer between nations, but also as a transfer across social and economic classes. Those who own debt instruments often benefit the most, while the broader costs may be spread across the wider population. Conclusion. In the modern economy, debt is no longer simply a burden, it is one of the foundations of the system itself. Governments issue debt, financial institutions purchase it, investors earn returns from it, and citizens depend on the broader structure it supports. As a result, the distinction between debtor and creditor has become increasingly blurred. The real issue is not the existence of debt, but the confidence placed in it. As long as trust remains intact, debt levels can continue expanding. But when confidence weakens, the vulnerabilities of the financial system become visible. Ultimately, debt is not merely an economic tool, it is part of the invisible network of promises upon which the modern world is built.